Hey guys, welcome back to the Horror with your host Jenna. As always, welcome back. Thank you again for checking me out. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I've been kind of wanting to do a video on for some time now, and that's just kind of like horror fans in general. And the reason why I kind of wanted to do this was I often get at work like a lot of people tell me like, "Oh my God, you know so much about horror movies. You're like a horror movie expert." It's like, whoa, hang on. I'm not like a total expert. I know quite a bit about horror movies, but I certainly do not know everything. Like, I know there's people out there who have so much more knowledge about horror movies than I do and are just like literally could probably have a PhD in horror. Me, not so much. Like, I feel like, I tell people, like, I feel like as a horror fan, I'm more of like maybe an intermediate horror fan. Like, there's like I would say there's like novice horror fans who are maybe like a step above like a casual viewer who just watches like a horror movie couple times a year. Nothing wrong with that. Um, Novice, I feel like, watches a good, maybe handful of horror movies, like maybe a month or every couple months. Intermediate, someone like me who watches literally a couple of horror movies a week at least. And then like, the experts who just literally are like, I don't want to say, horror 24/7 because I feel like a lot of us horror fans, regardless of like kind of like what sort of like level of horror fanness you're at, it's usually kind of 24/7 anyway. But just, literally it's, these people are always just like, different sort of like literally almost having horror in their life every single moment of the day, which is awesome. That might be a little too excessive, but you get my drift. So like I said, I'm kind of more of like I say I'm more of like an intermediate. I kind of know what I like, and check things out, check different things out and stuff. But I certainly by no means am I like an expert or anything. I would not say that I'm an expert or anything. I just, like I said, I kind of know what I like, learn stuff kind of like as I go in life and everything, kind of like as I do with anything. Um, but, you know, and I've also have met people who, sorry, my foot's asleep. I've certainly met people who, um, kind of pass themselves off as horror fans and like talking to them, like getting into discussion about horror related content, it's like they know nothing. Like they're just like basic knowledge isn't even there about horror movies. And it's like that kind of drives me nuts. Like, if you like to watch horror movies, awesome, but don't pass yourself off as this like, fan or hardcore fan if you don't have some basic knowledge. Yeah, it's don't get me wrong. I know we all have had start our love of horror and knowledge of horror at some point. Like I get that. Like it's like with anything in life, people who start getting into horror, they got to start somewhere. They're not going to know everything, but I feel like you should have at least some basic knowledge on stuff if you're starting to really get into horror and stuff, like just something, whether it's like with a certain actor or actress or director that kind of has gotten you into horror movies or special effects artists, whatever. Like just starting to have a little bit of something, or even if you're just starting off in horror movies, with horror movies and being a fan and everything, it's all right to like not know everything and be like, well, what do you think of this? Or hey, what's this? Like, not a big deal. But if you're trying to pass yourself off as a horror fan and you're basically thinking you're right and you're like, no, you're not. you missed the ball. I mean, it's like I remember a couple of years ago actually. I was working one night at Target. I think I was on lunch or something, just finishing up lunch, and I was looking at the movies. And one of the guys back there that was working there at the time, you know, he saw me like looking at the horror movies or something, and he was, talking to me about horror movies. He's like, oh yeah, I like horror movies. I was like, oh yeah, what do me being me, just kind of like curious as to know what my coworker thought of, like of horror movies and what he liked. Kind of was talking to him like, hey, what do you like? What do you like? And he was telling me like, oh, I like I like some of the classics like Halloween and stuff and Friday 13th. It's like, oh, cool, that's some of my favorites too, like especially Friday the 13th. Love that series. And he said something like he's like, oh yeah, that's the one with Freddy, right? I was like, oh no, you're thinking of Nightmare on Elm Street, which right off the bat I was kind of like, you know what, he got the two killers mixed up, he got franchises mixed up. It's not a big deal. Something like that, it's like for like a novice, I would have no problem being like, oh no, you're confusing them. Like, not a big deal. Like, it happens. But then he kind of proceeded to tell me, like, oh, no, I think you're mistaken because, Freddy was in Friday the 13th. I was like, no, Freddy was burned. He's like, oh, yeah, and he was the one who was in Crystal Lake. I'm like, no. So it's kind of like, I was like starting to feel like, okay, no, he just, is trying to impress me or something. I don't know if he was trying to impress me or not, but I was like, no, that's all wrong. I literally took out my phone. I was like, no, see, like, Jason is Friday the 13th. So, kind of shut him up for that. But then he was like, oh, well, did you see the remake of Friday the 13th? I was like, yeah, I saw it. I didn't, I wasn't too happy with it. It was kind of weak, I thought. And, he's like, oh yeah, same here. And then strike number 2 happened where he was like, oh yeah, it's a shame too that sucked because, it was made by Rob Zombie. I was like, what? I'm like, no. Once again, you're confused on the remakes. Rob Zombie did the Halloween remakes. Once again, proceeded to tell me how I was wrong. I was like, and I think at the time we actually had, I think one of the Rob Zombie Halloween remakes in stock. So I was like, come here for a second. So it literally took him over in his own department to the movies, and I pulled the Halloween remake off the shelf, and I was like, what does that say? He's like, oh, Rob Zombie's Halloween. He's like, oh, so he did this one too. And I was like, no, what? I'm like, yeah, he did this one and he did the second one. He's like, oh, no, he did this and he did the Friday the 13th one. I'm like, I literally, at that point, I did not even want to hang around for like strike number 3 because I was like, you're a dumbass, basically. But like things like that where it's like, once again, like if I'm talking to someone and, they get something confused or whatever, like I don't mind like, being like, oh, hey, no, this is, what it is or whatnot. Not a big deal, but, because I certainly don't ever want to be like that snobby fan who's like, wait, what? You don't know? I, certainly was like, I want to just kind of like educate him a little bit because, if he really is into horror movies and is kind of interested in horror movies, I don't mind sharing some, tidbits or whatnot. But the fact that he was so adamant in telling me that, I was wrong, I was like, oh, no. So like, I literally I went back to work after lunch, and one of the girls, I think, who was covering me, because this is when I was still in guest service. So I go back to the service desk, and she's like, I guess I must have had like a look of like, just, I was, pissed about something. She was like, what's up? It's like, and I told her the story, and she's like, what an idiot. Like, for him to like question you and tell you, of all people, the like horror guru of the store, on something like that, like, dude, what an idiot. So he kind of became like the butt of the joke. Well, I think like the next year and a half and whenever he quit or whatever. But you know, like I said, I don't ever want to be like that jerkish horror fan who's like, if you don't know something or you get something mixed up, I'm like, ugh, go away. Like it's, obviously if it was something different where uh if that conversation had gone differently where, he might have gotten something confused, like, for example, the mistaking Friday for Friday 13th, and he was kind of like, oh, okay, wait, oh yeah, okay, you're right. Okay, I just, had a little brain fart, or even like who directed or like what Rob Zombie directed, what remake or something, and was like, oh, okay, no, I was thinking it was like Friday the 13th, but no, it's Halloween. Okay, cool, I got it mixed up. Totally, I would be like, oh, okay, dude, no worries. I just, whatever, help you learn something. But I think that's what really drives me nuts is people just kind of passing themselves off as horror fans and having kind of like the arrogance to think that they know more about horror than an actual like horror fan who has been watching horror movies and has a pretty good education in horror from like watching all this different stuff and reading different stuff about it. Just it drives me nuts, Um, and if I ever do become like that douchey horror fan who just like dismisses everyone, please make sure you like check myself. Because I do, like I said, I don't ever want to get to that point where I'm like a snob about it. Um, but yeah. I don't know. I just feel like that kind of drives me nuts a little bit, or with like certain movies that like there's like a lot of hype. Like I know I've heard people in other videos kind of like mention this where they there's like a lot of hype for a movie or whatever. Like so, a good example I feel, or to me I feel like a decent example for me from my perspective is the movie It Follows that was released a few years ago. I remember there seemed to be like quite a buzz about it and everything. I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. Checked it out. And, to be honest, like the first half of the movie, I was like, oh, this seems really good. And then like the second half of the movie happened, and I was like, yeah. Like it just like the second half of the movie just kind of killed it for me because I felt like it was just like weak and they're kind of like, oh, we don't know what else to do type of thing. But that's my opinion. And I feel like a movie like that gets quite a bit of hype because there's people who don't watch as many horror movies as a lot of us do. So it's like when they see something like this, it's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. It's like, no, it's not that great. Like, I mean, I would watch It Follows again. I would, pop it in every once in a while. Like, I don't hate it enough where I'm like, oh, because once again, I've seen worse movies than that. So it's like, even with like a weak halfway point and everything, it's still I'm like, eh. But just things like that, or what's the other one? Much more recent, Lights Out. I feel like was another one. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh my god, it's such a great movie," and I watched it and I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's all right. It's I liked it a little bit better than It Follows, but it once again I didn't see anything that I thought was uh you know boom like amazing or anything. It was okay. Once again, I would probably watch it again. Whatevs. But like I said, that's I feel like that's just it gets a really good buzz because people who don't watch horror movies as much see something like this and think it's like the greatest thing since Psycho or something. But that's just me. That's just me. I don't know. What do you guys think though? Like, what do you like? How would you kind of classify yourself? Like with how I did with, considering myself a little bit more of like an intermediate horror fan. Would you say you're kind of like more of a novice or an expert? And, what do you think of other, like, people who kind of try to pass themselves off as like these huge horror fans when they're really not? Like, is it just me? Am I just like, making too much of like stuff in my head about it? Or what? Or what? I don't know. I don't know. It's just me. But let me know, you guys. As always, I love, your feedback and everything, your comments. But yeah, let me know. Let me know. Till next time, you guys, stay creepy and classy, and as always, a little bit sassy.